Hello students, let's start our first chapter, that is the sentence. So we have already learned about sentence in previous classes. In this chapter we are going to introduce one new term also. What is that term? That is the phrase. So let's first see what is a sentence and what is a phrase and what is the difference between a sentence and a phrase. So students, as we all know that a sentence is a collection of words that contains a subject and a predicate. It could be a command, a statement, an exclamation or a question, and it begins with a capital letter and ends with an exclamation mark or full stop or a question mark. All these are punctuation marks that end a sentence. Now we'll see what is a subject and what is a predicate that makes a complete sentence. So students, we have two parts in a sentence. First part is a subject and second part is a predicate. So a subject is about which something is being said, means subject is the main title of the sentence. And what is predicate? Predicate is that tells something about the subject, means about whom we are talking or about what we are talking is the subject, and what we are talking about the subject and what is the subject, it tells the predicate. Now what is a phrase then? Phrase is also a group of words, but it is a group of meaningful words that don't make complete sense. For example, we have here in 10 steps, a pink flower, the great man. All these group of words are phrases because these are giving the meaning, but these are not giving the complete meaning. So they are not forming a complete sentence, rather they are phrases. So students, as we saw that a sentence is a group of words that gives complete meaning, that makes complete sense, but a phrase is a group of words that gives meaning but not the complete meaning. Now let's understand the features of a sentence and a phrase. So when we talk about sentence, so what are the features of sentence? First is a sentence makes complete sense, means it should give the proper meaning or proper idea. Now a sentence always begins with a capital letter, we know it very well. A sentence always ends with a full stop, a question mark or a mark of exclamation. These are three marks that ends a sentence. A sentence always has a verb. Now it is a big difference between a sentence and a phrase. A sentence always has a verb and subject. Sometimes what happens that subject is not clearly mentioned in the sentence because it is understood. A subject is understood. That we will study later in this chapter, but a phrase may or may not have a verb. Let's see it further. Here we have features of a phrase. First feature says a phrase must make some sense or must express some meaning, but it cannot make complete sense on its own. It can never be a sentence, rather it is a part of a sentence. That is mentioned in feature number 2. It is a part of the complete sentence but does not make complete sense in itself, right? So a phrase is a part of a sentence but it can never be a sentence, a complete sentence. Feature number 3 says that a phrase may or may not have a verb, as I have already told you this. Now let's understand that all the group of words cannot be a phrase. Why? Because it is mandatory and important for a phrase to give some meaning or some sense. If there is a group of words that doesn't give any sense, it cannot be called a phrase. For example, we have first, she is a. She is a what? This is simply a group of words but it is not making any clear sense. So it is not called a phrase. Similarly, and they, this is also not a phrase because it is not giving any sense. Similarly, we have all three examples here. You can go through these examples. Now, let's understand the types of sentences now. So here we have types of sentences, and we have 4 types of sentences in English grammar. First one is assertive or declarative sentence. These are sentences that simply give a declaration or a statement. So imperative sentences are sentences that express any advice, any comment or any request, right? Number 3 we have is interrogative sentence. Interrogative sentences are questions basically. These are the sentences that ask anything, so these are questions. Number 4 we have is exclamatory sentences. So exclamatory sentences are sentences that express any sudden kind of emotion or sudden kind of feeling. Let's understand all these 4 types of sentences in detail in next page. So students, very first kind of sentence we have is assertive sentence. Assertive sentences are also called declarative sentence because they usually declare something or state something. It tells information about anything. Anything like it can be a person, book, fact, belief, opinion, history, events, etc. So we know that assertive sentences or declarative sentences, they give simply a statement. That's why they always end with a full stop. You can see the examples here. I am very happy today. So it is simply a statement. Now next is, this is a book. So this is also declarative or assertive sentence. Next we have, I like the taste of pizza. So all these sentences are simply statements. They are telling about something in general. That's why they are all assertive sentences, or we can call them declarative sentence also. So students, assertive sentence is further divided into 2 categories. First one is affirmative sentences and second one is negative sentence. Now what is affirmative and what is negative? We can understand it by their name only. Affirmative means positive and negative means when there is a no. For example, we have M.F. Hussain was a great artist. It is a positive sentence, that's why we call it affirmative sentence. Now the next we have is she did not like mathematics. So it is telling about the negative thing, that's why we call them negative sentences. So here you can see the classification is given here. We have one more example. He climbed up the hill is positive. He did not climb the hill is negative sentence. So now let's read the features of assertive sentences. First one is an assertive sentence states something. Second is an assertive sentence may be positive or it may be negative. Third one is assertive sentence ends with a full stop. So now let's move on to the next kind of sentences, that are interrogative sentences. So interrogative sentences are also called questions because they are the sentence that we use to ask questions. So since they are questions, they always end with a question mark. So since they are questions, they always end with a question mark. For example, we have, what is your name? So we can see this sentence is ending with question mark because it is asking something. Second we have is, where are you from? So this is also a question, that's why it is ending with a question mark. So students, interrogative sentences are also further classified into 2 categories. First one is yes or no type of question and second one is WH type of questions. Now what are yes or no type of questions? As the name suggests, these questions can be answered with simple positive or negative words. For example, they can be answered with simple yes or no, right or wrong, etc. Okay. Now WH type of questions are basically questions that starts with question words like what, where, when, how, why, etc. And they are the questions that need complete reason or explanation. That's why we call them WH type questions. These questions always begin with a question word. Now let's read the features of interrogative sentences. First one is, an interrogative sentence asks a question, as you already know. An interrogative sentence ends with a question mark, and an interrogative sentence may ask yes or no type of question or WH type of question. So the next kind of sentence we have is imperative sentence. Imperative sentence is used to make a request, to give a command, to give suggestion, or to give advice to someone. For example, we have a sentence here, please give me your book. So we can see this sentence is starting with please, so it is basically a request. Next one is complete your homework now. So this sentence is a command. Third one is don't drink. So we know that it is a suggestion. And the last one is work hard. So basically this is advice. So students, any sentence that expresses advice or command or that make a request is known as imperative sentence. We have here the examples of imperative sentences in all three categories. Now let's see the features of imperative sentence. An imperative sentence expresses a command, request or advice. An imperative sentence ends with a full stop. Now the last one we have is exclamatory sentence. It is used to express strong emotion, surprise, joy, grief, etc. It can be any emotion that is sudden, and exclamatory sentences always end with an exclamation mark. Here are the examples. What a tall boy he is. So here the sentence is ending with an exclamation mark. That's why it is an exclamatory sentence. Second sentence we have is what a boring day. We can see this sentence is also ending with exclamation mark. That's why it is also exclamatory sentence. So students, we know that exclamatory sentences are the sentence that express any sudden kind of emotion. Any kind of emotion, that can be anger, that can be fear, that can be shock, or that can be surprise, or anything like that. Now here we can see examples. How strong is he? What a grand ceremony was held at the closing of Olympics. And all these examples are ending with an exclamation mark. Now let's move on to the next part. So here we are going to discuss about parts of sentence, that is subject and a predicate. Let's see some examples here. So here we have, this girl was reading a book. So who we are talking about in this sentence? We are talking about the girl. So the girl is the subject here. Now what is this girl doing? What I told you in the beginning, what a subject is doing or what a subject is, that is being told in the predicate. So what this girl is doing? This girl is reading a book. So the remaining part of the sentence will be predicate. Was reading a book will be a predicate. Similarly, we have one more sentence here. The school will be closed for summer vacations. So we are talking about schools. So schools is the subject. The school is subject and will be closed for summer vacation. The rest part of the sentence is predicate. Now let's read the features of subject and predicate. And the second one is, the subject may be used with or without other words. Now let's go through the features of a predicate. The predicate tells about or describe the subject. So first one is, the predicate tells about or describe a subject and it has verb with or without other words. So that's it for today students. We learned about sentence, we learned about different kinds of sentence, and we learned about the parts of sentences. Now don't confuse the parts of sentence with kinds of sentence, because we have 4 kinds of sentences and we have 2 parts of a sentence. So that's it for today, students. We'll see you in the next class. Till then, take care.